Hello everyone, my name is Gamma, and today we're going to be talking about how video games use the concept of semiotics to elicit certain reactions in players. In most competitive first-person shooters, there exist two kinds of devices to help the player navigate the environment. The first is the map, seen in games like Counter-Strike, and is used to let players know where they are on that particular level. The second, and in my opinion far more interesting device, is the radar. The radar doesn't show the player where they are spatially, but it does show the enemy's location relative to the player's position. Now, the radar won't always show the position of the enemy. That would be OP as hell. No, the radar will only alert the player when certain parameters are met. For example, in Halo, the radar is activated by motion, so when an enemy is still or moving slow enough, the radar won't highlight them. In Call of Duty, enemy players show up on the radar when they shoot. But a common factor in almost all radars is how they portray allies, enemies, and the players themselves, with a dot. Now, what is a dot? Is it an infinitesimally small point in space that denotes a location on an XY plane? Technically, yes, but in a video game, it would be impossible to render an infinitely small point on the radar to denote the location of a bad guy. Furthermore, it would be too tiny to see with your peepers, which kind of defeats the point. So, for the sake of the argument, I will refer to the circle of varying size on a radar or map as a dot. Now, to understand how a dot on a screen provides us with information, we're going to have to talk about semiotics. Well, what is semiotics? Coming from the Greek semiotikos, meaning signs, semiotics is the study of signs and what signs mean to humans. In semiotics, there are three types of signs: icons, indices, and symbols. An icon is designed to represent its subject. For example, a photograph of a deer is meant to convey, hey, it's a picture of a deer. An index relates where someone is in relation to something else. An index can be a point of the finger telling somebody where something is, or it can just be the word here or there. Symbols are tricky. If you were speaking to an alien and they asked you what a red octagon meant, you'd say, oh, it's a stop sign. The alien would then ask, well, why is that? And you would sit there not knowing why he doesn't understand. The red octagon means stop. Well, at least it does to you and me and most other people on Earth. A symbol is something that represents a concept, accepted socially as meaning said concept. Red octagon means stop because we say it means stop, goddammit, and no alien bastard's going to tell us otherwise. Speaking of alien bastards, that's exactly the kind of video game we're going to be examining today. Is it going to be Covenant? Or the aliens from Space Invaders? Or Metroid? No, of course not. This is me we're talking about. I am, of course, referring to the two-jawed, creepy-crawly, acid-blooded, nightmare-fuel murder machine from the cold infinity of space called Xenomorphs. That's right. We're looking at Alien Isolation. Released by Creative Assembly in 2014 to rave reviews, Alien Isolation ditches the marine gun shooty focus from the previous Alien games and goes for straight horror. You play as Amanda Ripley, the daughter of Ellen Ripley, and you're trapped on a space station with the titular alien in question, and you're tasked with shooting it to death with big guns and what? It's unkillable? You can only scare it away? And it adapts to your strategies, and it's a one-shot kill if it catches you? Well, fuck. That sounds horrifying. Thank God I didn't have to play it. Oh wait, Alien Isolation is the scariest game I've ever played. I first played it back in 2016 when I was a small baby of 16, and it almost made me piss myself on multiple occasions. This game made me realize I needed heart surgery, because one time it elevated my BPM to 267. To not be able to kill this thing as it stalks you through dimly lit corridors as you only have to hide and pray to Cthulhu it doesn't find you is pure terror. But you do have one advantage over your enemy. One guiding light in the vast sea of dread that is this nightmare. You know where it is. What? That sounds like it would ruin gameplay. What do you mean you know where it is? Like you can see it through the walls or something? That's stupid. But no. This game does something beautiful. This game references both Alien films by giving you a motion tracker. Well, this is perfect. Oh shit, wait, you're still stuck on the ship with it. Okay, well at least you can keep track of it, right? This motion tracker should keep you calm and provide security. It actually does the exact opposite. Yes, you can see the alien, but the screen only shows a 90-degree cone in front of you, and the range of the tracker is only about 50 feet. And when you're in a gigantic space station, that ain't worth shit. It does track 50 feet all around you, but it won't show you how close it is if it's behind you. So that makes turning around one of the worst experiences in video games, because it could be behind a wall 15 feet back, or it could be right. Oh, and how does the motion tracker represent the cold-blooded, single-minded, unfeeling killing machine that's coming to unalive you by putting its mouth through your head? A fucking dot. Things are starting to come together. So what is a dot in semiotics? Well, I'd argue it's both an index and a symbol. It's certainly not an icon. There isn't a giant dot running around the station trying to circle you to death. The dot is an index because it shows you where the alien is in relation to where you are and where you're facing. It's a symbol because the dot represents the alien. It's understood by the player that the dot represents something moving, most likely the alien, and if you choose to ignore said symbol. But I want to argue it's more symbolic than that, at least just for this game. Because when I see that dot making a beeline for my dot, I don't think, that means the alien is coming closer. No, when I hear the beeps of the tracker getting higher and higher, and I see the dot moving straight for me, I think, oh dear sweet fuck, it's seen me. Run, hide, scare it with fire, Jesus Christ, do something. Symbols can convey more than information. They can convey concepts that have social or personal meaning. An extreme example of this is the swastika. The swastika is a symbol found in a couple of ancient cultures with varying meanings. However, I can assure you that no one in this day and age would interpret that symbol as having anything to do with Sanskrit. They would immediately associate the symbol with Nazi Germany, who adopted the symbol as their own. This would probably prompt some sort of emotional response from the viewer, as swastika is now associated with an evil regime. Another example is the peace sign. The symbol was originally used as a symbol for campaign for nuclear disarmament, but the symbol transcended its original meaning and is socially understood as a symbol of peace in general. That's why the dot can mean different things. It's up to the subject to interpret meaning from the symbol. If someone had zero context for what the dot on the motion tracker meant, they wouldn't feel afraid. But as soon as they see the alien, they make a mental connection, pairing the dot with the alien. That's why the dot elicits fear. This object has no iconographic importance that prompts a reaction of fear in the player. Ceci n'est pas un alien. The dot represents the idea of the alien. Without the alien actually being on screen, it still exerts its presence through the dot. That's why Alien Isolation is such a scary game, and that representation is almost always present. There's hardly a point in the game where your motion tracker doesn't have the alien highlighted. So whatever game you're playing, be it a first-person shooter or a horror game or a real-time strategy game, just make sure to check that radar. It might just save your life.